I'm gonna miss my exit. I don't want to miss my exit. There we go, I made it. Go over about 10 lanes in traffic. Missed my exit. And there's a cop. Doo-doo-doo, not speeding, only going 85 and a 55, no big deal. I guess he's cool with it. Or he wasn't paying attention. But anyway. What's going on? I am heading over to my shop. I'm gonna go change the oil on this bike and try to put the Aprilia back together today. I've been putting it off too long. Try to quit slacking. So today I'm gonna talk about something a lot of people like talking about and watching and all that good stuff, but absolutely no one, unless you're completely psycho, likes doing, and that is crashing your motorcycle. And I've done it, to be completely honest, I stopped keeping count around 8 or 9. And no, I'm not a total squid and I don't ride like an idiot. I just crash a lot on the track. Low siding, almost all but 3 of the crashes were on the track. And the other ones were kind of, yeah, when I first started riding. So the first one, if I can remember, was my yellow SV650, my very first motorcycle. I was on Blood Mountain, of course, riding uphill. I was going up the mountain. I might have been going a little too fast, but I don't think I was going too bad. And I ended up low siding, going through one of the turns. I just leaned it over a little too far. It got a little unstable and front slipped out on me. So I slid. I didn't even slide off the road. The bike didn't leave the road. We both slid through the corner. It was a pretty low speed corner. And I got a little scratched up on my suit. I had a suit on. Luckily, I've had a suit on every time except for once, I believe, when I crashed. Maybe one time. So I didn't get hurt that time either, luckily. I was going really, really slow. But my suit got scuffed up a little bit. My gloves, my boots, the knee pucks were a little scraped up. But that's it. No, nothing really got hurt. The bike got a little scratched up. You know, it was a beater bike. It didn't even have frame sliders, so all the fairings were just rashed up. And they were kind of rashed up when I got them, so it didn't really make the bike look any worse than it already did. So I got up, rode the bike home that day. There was nothing wrong with it. We were up there with a group. You know, got to the top of the mountain, talked about it, had a little story about what happened, and then rode home. And that was the first wreck. The second wreck is a little more interesting. And I was riding my wife's bike. I was riding her CBR F4i 600, the Honda. And same mountain, I hit a little pothole at the top. And I was not quite full lean, but I was pretty far leaned over and the suspension was bending pretty good. And I have a video of it so you can see what happened a little better. So here's the video. Check it out while I'm sitting here in traffic. So yeah, there's what happened there. And it wasn't very fun, but the only thing that happened was the frame slider got scuffed up and I had a little hole in my gloves. My gloves got a little scraped up in the boots. I had the cheap suit on. It was an old hand-me-down, but it was a thick, heavy leather suit, Tactic, and it did great. Didn't really hurt the suit at all. So she was in New York, and I had to call her, and I'm like, I ordered you new frame sliders, and she was like, wait, why do I need new frame sliders? So that was a surprise. I don't even think I told her I was going to go ride her bike until I crashed it. But it didn't hurt the bike one bit. We had those shorty ASV levers on it, which were awesome, and really helped to keep stuff from hitting the ground. Of course, the handlebar got scraped up a little bit, but the frame slider pretty much took absolutely all of the damage, which was cool. So the third time, let's see, when was the third? Oh, my yellow SV again. The bike I just love to crash. This was my third wreck before I even started doing track days. It was winter time. I was working on the bikes because I was actually stuck at home. The ice was so bad. We used to live up in a little subdivision up in North Georgia called Lake Arrowhead. It's got a lot of small, hilly, super curvy, super dangerous roads, but it's really fun to ride on a motorcycle. But anyway, it was middle of winter, and I was just I don't winterize the bikes. I try to get them out and ride them even in winter to get the fluids moving around and heat the engines up every once in a while and make sure the gas doesn't sit in there too long. So I was out just riding the SV around a little bit after doing some little preventative maintenance on it. You know, just oiling up changing the oil and greasing the steering head bearings and all that good stuff. So I took it out, took it for a little ride, hit a tiny little 2x2 patch of ice, which I thought was all melted already, but apparently it wasn't. So I hit this little patch of ice, and I wasn't even really leaned over, maybe just a few degrees of lean, and the front tire just slipped right out from under me. And I just low-sided right off the corner of the road. The bike went down the leaves, I went over in the grass. I didn't really get hurt, but I did hit my hand on the ground as I fell and my wrist. So after the numbness wore off, it hurt like hell, but it eventually went away. I got a little bit of road rash because that was the one time I wasn't wearing a suit. I had a big, thick winter jacket on, but I did have gloves on, so I didn't rash my hands up. Luckily, I took the time to put gloves on. And it wasn't too bad. You know, I had a little bit of rash on my arm. I got a big scar from it now, but it took a while to heal. Road rash freaking sucks. And my gloves, you know, kept my hands nice and clean, just very sore for a few days was the only issue. So that was the third time. Let's see, the fourth time I crashed. When was that going to be? That would probably be on an SV650 as well. Yep, it was. So I was on the track, I was following a guy. I have another video on my YouTube, but I'll show you what happened in the video and then I'll talk about it while I sit here at this red light. Here you go. So yeah, that's what happened. I was right behind him. He was trail braking. I was trail braking. He lost his front. I tapped my front brakes, which I probably shouldn't have. I probably could have made it around him no problem, just leaning into the turn, but that's there's a reaction. I didn't really think about it, but the bad part is I didn't think about not doing it. So I tapped my front brakes. I lost my front wheel as well. I actually slid past him. He rolled into my bike, hit his head on my gas tank, and put a big dent in my gas tank with his helmet, and then kept rolling ahead in front of me. I was kind of upset after that crash because I didn't really know. It wasn't really his fault because I probably could have made it around him, but him wrecking in front of me made me wreck, and it kind of sucked. And we talked about it afterwards, and we were okay with it. It was a Russian dude riding at Tally with us. I forgot his name. I'm sure I have his number somewhere with his name, but because I sent him the video, but I forgot it for now. So that was my, what was that, 4th crash, or is that 3rd crash? Blah, 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 blah. 4th crash. Yeah, that was the 4th crash. The 5th one was, let's see, on the same motorcycle, the track, it was the Track SV. I was coming into the bowl, which is the really sharp right-hander at Tally, just a little too fast. I braked really hard, the bike started sliding. It felt perfect. It felt really good, sliding right through the turn, and I low-sided. It sucked. I don't have video of that one. I broke the rear sets off and didn't really hurt the bike too well, but that was kind of a boring crash. Yeah, no fun there. Just messed the rear set up on my bike, and which is kind of a pain. I had to get it welded back, and I eventually sold that bike after that. The reason I crashed there was because I was using a Moto slick rear tire that the Dunlop guys suggested to me. And I don't know why, but it just would not grip on that bike through the corners. I think I might have had too much air in it. They did tell me to run it a little higher than I run the Moto. Did I just have my blinker on for like 5 minutes? What a noob. And I did run the air a little higher, and the rear tire just slipped out and went off the ground. And I forgot to mention the previous crash. Always buy good gloves, because I had cheap ass gloves on, and I ground off the tip of the glove and then continued to grind off half of my thumbnail. So I did get hurt a little bit on that one, but no broken bones. But oh my gosh, that hurts while it was healing. Your thumbnail growing back. It didn't really hurt until it started healing. Crazy part, just a little burning sensation, but that sucked really bad. Fingernails and fingers and all that good stuff. No thanks. So that was my 4th, 5th crash, whatever. My 6th, I think it was 6th, was really sad. Yeah, that was the sad crash. That's when I had my brand new Daytona 675R why do I always crash at Talladega? Out at Talladega. And yeah, I low-sided. I was in the intermediate class, and the bike just felt so good. I had the OEM Street Supercourses on it, and they bumped me up to advanced, actually, because the bike was riding so good. And I was passing someone on the outside before the big right-hander, and I knew the bike had been sliding there every turn. So every time I took that turn, the rear end was sliding out, but it felt really good, and it felt really controlled, so I just kept doing it. But about the 5th time, I was passing somebody on the outside, and I guess that track's a little off camber on the outside of that turn, and the rear end just kind of slipped out from under me, and all I did was broke off the tail fairing. It didn't even hurt the bike, which was cool. It had rained a few days before, the ground was all nice and soft and grassy and muddy, and the bike just went in the grass and just broke my tail fairing. That was it. So that wasn't too bad, but it sucked scratching up a brand new 675R. It was pretty lame. Pass a few people here. But it wasn't too bad. So that's most of the crashes I remember. There were some other little ones in between there that I don't remember too well. I'll have to talk about those later. Oh yeah, wait, I remember another one. It was after that. I was on my Ninja 250, my little 250 track bike, and I was in Barber on one of the left-handers before the straight, and an R1 thought it would be cool to pass me on the outside, try to pass me on the outside, and then he didn't pass me, but coming out of the turn, he just gassed it and jutted right out in front of me and hit my front wheel. I couldn't really nail the brakes to slow down because I was already leaned over, and he was leaned over, and he jutted right out, hit my front wheel, the bike fell over. It broke my rear set off. Well, it bent my rear set. It didn't really break anything, but yeah, it bent my rear set up, and that kind of sucked. I had to hammer it back with a rubber hammer to get it back in place. Big truck. Gonna have to slow down for a second. But yeah, that was another trash crash, yeah. So number 7, I believe. But just to speak about crashing, I've always low-sided. Even when the guy hit me, the bike just kind of fell over and slid. I've never high-sided a bike. I don't know what that feels like. I have almost high-sided a few times, but luckily, I have never high-sided a motorcycle, and I'm very happy for that, because that's when all the bad stuff happens. Are you gonna go? The light's green. Yeah. Come on now. What are you doing? I don't know what this guy's doing. There you go. There wasn't even anybody going straight, which is weird. And that car almost ran into me. Nice. Oh, where am I going? I have no idea where I just went. IRS office. Yep, wrong way. Wrong turn. That was the wrong way. I'm gonna let this car go first. She looked like she wanted to run over me. And she was talking on the phone. It's a bad combo, wanting to run over me and talking on the phone. I just kind of lost track of where I was going because of all the fun talking about crashing, and I forgot to turn. I went to the CDC IRS office. That's definitely not where I want to go. Try to stay away from both of those places. Avoid them both like the plague. Haha, no pun intended. If I can. So crashing's no fun, but it happens. And if you've got any cool stories about your crash, feel free to post them in the comments on the track or on the road. Or now, I have crashed a dirt bike too. I guess that's where a couple of the other ones come from I didn't mention. I was riding an 85 two-stroke, which was way too small for me, and I was actually jumping on it, and I can't stand up all the way without with still holding on to the handlebars. So when I stand up and jump, I have to like hunch over and reach over, so the front end kind of goes down on me from how the weight is. And I landed on a rock, fell, got a big ass scar on my arm from that, because the dirt bike gear is not too protective, if you hadn't noticed. But anyway, if you got any cool wrecks, post them. Post some comments about them, and I'll try to not get any crash stories coming up anytime soon if I can help it. Well, unless it's maybe other people crashes, but I'd rather that not happen either. So, thanks for watching, guys. There's my stories of all my motorcycle crashes.